Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm the owner of Airborne Canine, and today we're going to go over the recommended homework that you should be doing with your dog before you bring him in for your board and trainer day school program. So, ideally, you've completed your consultation with us. During your consultation, we've talked about all sorts of things, including how old is your dog, what breed is your dog, what does your dog like to eat, what does your dog do on a day-to-day basis, what is your routine at home. And we generally talk about some recommendations, some things you can change at home. And some of the stuff we're going to talk about in this video might be a recap of some of those things. But ideally, what we're going to talk about today is a really kind of in-depth description of everything you should be doing at home to get your dog ready for their training program. So the intention of these recommendations is to prepare your dog for the routine that they are going to experience here when they are here in training. If they get here for training and it's a complete culture shock for them, it can sometimes be really hard for them to adjust, and that adjustment period can take a little bit longer than some other dogs. When that adjustment period takes a long time, that really detracts from our training. So if you do your homework at home before your dog comes in for training, that allows us to really hit the ground running the day that your dog shows up, and we can get the most training in the time that we have available. Some of the things that you're going to want to have handy while you're doing this at home is an appropriately sized crate or kennel. Usually something that your dog cannot and has never been able to escape from. If your dog has been able to escape from the crate that you have, you might want to invest in a more sturdy crate. Our most recommended brand is the Dakota 283 kennel. Those are available on our website, or you can email us if you're interested in learning more. We also recommend the Ruffland Rough Tough kennels. They're available. Just look up Ruffland kennels. And there are plenty of other brands, but those are usually the best. They're the most secure for the price point that they're available at. The next things you're going to want to have handy are going to be a leash and collar, which I'm sure you have already at home, so you don't have to go and buy anything fancy for that. You will get a leash with your program. You'll get a collar or two with your program as well. So you don't have to go buy anything fancy. We love using slip leashes. That's what we're going to use here. If you have a slip leash at home, that's fantastic. If you don't have one, just use what you have, what you usually use when you take your dog for a walk. A really helpful tool to have is a treat pouch, or like a bait bag. We call it a treat pouch, but it's just like a little bag that is on like a belt that you put around your waist, and it's for you to put your dog's food, your training treats, put that in there, so that way you have something to put the food in, so you don't have to carry around a baggie of treats with you. You can actually have that, and so you don't have to put them in your pocket either, because I know I end up with crumbs in my pockets half the times anyway. So having a treat pouch is super handy for this process. All right, so that's generally all you're really going to need for this process. We're not going to get into a whole lot of training. This is just about changing a little bit of your routine at home. So the kennel is an important part. Now, I know some people don't want to always have their dog in a kennel, and ideally you don't want to have to keep your dog in the kennel forever, all the time. If you notice, I have my dogs out here with me. They're great. They're all doing wonderful. They're up on the bed, but they've been able to earn that privilege through appropriate behaviors. And what we're going to talk about is how our training process creates a progression that teaches our dogs what is expected, what is appropriate behavior, and how do they earn the privilege of being able to get time out of the crate. How do they get to hang out with you in your bedroom? How do they get to hang out with you in the living room? And this is going to be the way we do that. So the crate is a big part of that, because we're going to use the crate for any time we're not actively engaging with our dog. So when we're not actively working with our dog, training with our dog, playing with our dog, doing activities with our dog's going to be in the kennel. And The biggest reason is when we're not actively engaging with our dog and our dog is otherwise kind of left to their own devices, meaning they're left to make their own decisions, we don't want to give them the opportunities to practice bad decision making. Training is all about teaching our dogs how to make good decisions on their own. But in the beginning, we want to teach them that those bad decisions that they've made are no longer options. We want to teach them that good decisions produce good rewards and good consequences. So when you do the right thing, good stuff happens. And making the wrong choice, doing bad things, getting into trouble, getting into the trash, getting into, chewing on the furniture, not listening, things like that, those are no longer possible because we're going to be supervising our dog or our dog is going to be in the kennel. When we're ready to do some type of activity with our dog, whether it's training, playtime, activities, we're going to do puzzle toys, we're going to play with a toy, we're going to do whatever. Whatever activity we're going to do with our dog, we're going to do it on leash. So anytime our dog is coming out of the kennel, they are going to be on the leash. So for this temporary period of time, and like I said, it's only temporary, and we're going to talk about how we transition from this period to giving our dog freedom later. We are going to get the dog on the leash before the dog even comes out of the kennel. So while our dog is still inside the kennel, we put the leash on and we can give our dog some food inside the kennel. So we want our dog to start to realize these little habits, these little routines where before they come out of the kennel, the leash goes on and they get some food. Now, the food that we're using for this should be just their regular food. We don't want to have them eating their entire daily calories plus a whole bunch of training treats for all these activities as well, because they're going to gain extra weight and we don't want that. So instead, in the mornings, before we start doing any of this, take their daily allotted amount of food and put it in your treat pouch. So when you go to take them out of the kennel, you put that leash on and you give them a little bit of that kibble. Once they have that kibble, you tell them free and then they can come out of that kennel. Free is a word we're going to teach them in training. If you don't use it, it's not a big deal. We're going to teach them that later. If you do, great, awesome. But it's kind of optional. The important thing is that when your dog comes out of the kennel that they are on leash. Don't just open that door and let them come running out and go zooming around and jumping on the, couch and jump on the bed and go grab their toy or whatever. So they're going to be on the leash. Ideally, we're going to give them treats or not treats, but give them some of their kibble to help encourage them to stay with us as we walk politely to the door to go outside. If our dog isn't super motivated for the food, that's fine. Do the best you can, but walk with them on the leash from the kennel to the door. Once you get to the door, you want them to offer a sit at the door. If they don't automatically go into a sit, that's okay. You can use a treat to kind of encourage them. At this stage, we want to avoid using your verbal cue, meaning don't ask them to sit, don't tell them to sit. Even if you've taught them to sit before, try not to tell them to sit right now, especially if we're about to start a training program. If you're doing training on your own and you're not doing a training program with us, and then go ahead and tell them to sit. But if you're doing a training program with us, don't use your sit command until we tell you to use your sit command, okay? But encourage your dog to sit, use a cookie, kind of hold it up, lure them, put it over their nose, whatever you do to encourage them to sit before that door opens. Once they go into that sit, now we can open that door and we want to use that leash to make sure they don't go running out that door before us. So we're going to use that leash to hold them back. We open that door, we're going to walk through, and then we let them come out after us. Again, ideally we're going to use that food to kind of feed them as we're walking. We call this luring, but we want to feed them while we're walking so that ideally they walk with us. If you want to get a little ahead of the game, feed them with your left hand. So this is going to be your treat hand. This is your left hand here, and feed them with your left hand. And you're going to walk from the door straight to wherever it is you want your dog to go to the bathroom. So wherever you want your dog to go potty, You're gonna go straight to that place. When you get to the place where you want your dog to go potty, you're gonna put your treats in your treat pouch. So your hands are no longer, there's no treats in your hands. You're gonna hold on to your leash and you're gonna tell your dog to go potty. And you're gonna stand there and you're not gonna do anything. And you're just gonna stand still like a post. So we're teaching our dog at this point a nice potty routine where this is the place where you go potty. This is helpful if you don't really want your dog peeing and pooping all over the yard. If you want them generally going to the bathroom in the same place, like in the back corner of the yard, in a specific area. You do want it not too far away, so don't take them and walk them down the street to go to the bathroom. Just take them someplace in your yard that's grassy. Tell them to go potty, and then remember, stand still. Don't start walking all over the place, just stand still. You can spin in a circle if they're walking around you, but you want to plant your feet in a spot and they have the radius of that leash to walk around you, and that circle is where they get to go potty. That's it. If they don't want to go potty in that circle, then don't go potty. They get to go back in the kennel. But what generally will happen is they will sniff and explore everything in that little circle that you created, the length of your leash, right, in that little circle. And we're talking a nice short regular leash, like a 6-foot leash. And they'll explore everything in that 6-foot leash in a pretty short amount of time. Generally, I say it's really about 4 minutes. And most dogs will go to the bathroom within that 4 minutes or so. If the dog is going on about 5 minutes or more and they haven't gone to the bathroom yet, that's again when I would probably just put them back in the kennel and say, hey, we can try again later. But if they do go to the bathroom, even if it's just one or number two, you can tell them good job, get really happy, and you can give them some of their food. And now you can take them for a little walk around the yard and see if they need to go to the bathroom again. So some dogs need to go pee and poo. So if they went pee in that little circle, now you can walk them around a little bit and see if they also need to go poo or if they need to go pee again. So if your dog has successfully gone potty, even if it's just once or twice, and you're confident that your dog is done going to the bathroom, now you get to start whatever activity you've chosen. So if you haven't started training with us, don't start doing a whole lot of obedience until you start the training program with us and you've been given specific homework from doing lessons with us. If you haven't done a lesson with us, don't start doing any type of obedience training. But if you want, you can play with a toy. So if you have a toy you want to play with, you can play with that on leash. You can do like interactive toys or puzzle feeders. You can do other types of games. You can do trick training. I love doing trick training. You can do all sorts of fun activities. And if you need ideas of what activities you can do, reach out to us. We have tons of ideas. But this is the time for your activity. Spend about 10 minutes doing your activity. And then at the end of your activity, you're going to walk still on leash back to the door. Your dog should sit at the door. You can use your food. Don't use your sit command again. When your dog sits, that allows you to open that door. You're going to use that leash to prevent your dog from just running through that door before you. You walk through that door, and then you're going to again use that food to help try and keep your dog walking with you as much as you can. This is your opportunity to let your dog get some water, and then they're going to go back into your kennel after they get some water. When they go back into the kennel, you can take off that leash, give them a little bit of food, close the kennel, and then rinse and repeat this whole process after they've had at least 45 to 50 minutes of rest. It doesn't have to be that often, so you don't have to go, hey, I set a timer for 45 minutes, now I gotta go take the dog out again. You could do it less frequently for sure, but the more frequently you do it, the better. So do whatever works with your schedule. So, if you work all day and you get home, you do it once when you get home, you do it again when it's around dinner time, you do it again, after dinner, and then you do one more before you go to bed. That's fantastic. That's amazing. If you can't even do that much, that's okay, right? But, do what works for your schedule. The more consistent you can be with this process, the better your dog is going to acclimate to the training environment that we have at Airborne Canine when they first get started. The first days at training can be really stressful, and a lot of dogs really struggle with wanting to take food because they're stressed out. They've never had this level of structure and routine. And so if you create this type of routine at home, we create the exact same routine here. Your dog is in the kennel, we put the leash on, we take them out, we use the food, we walk them to the door, we make them sit, we give them food, we walk them to go potty. It's literally the exact same routine. The activity is just training sessions. That's all. And we rinse and repeat this all day long. So again, showing them this routine at home is going to set them leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else who comes here, where their dog is stressed out for 3 or 4 days and won't take food, and we can hardly get anything done. And this way, we can get so much more done in the first week, and your dog will be way ahead of the curve. If you have questions, don't hesitate, reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. If you have concerns, if you're doing your homework at home and something weird happens, or you don't know how to handle a situation, give us a call, shoot us a text message. We'll be happy to help. I hope this has been helpful. If there's other videos you'd like us to make for you, other questions you have, let us know, leave it in the comments, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And don't forget to enjoy the time that you're doing this and enjoy the activities you're doing with your dog. A couple of the things I almost forgot to say. While you're doing these activities, I would say take all of your dog toys and put them away. If you're going to do an activity that involves playing with your dog with a dog toy, take the toy out, play with your dog, and when you're done with it, put the toy away again. So put them away in like a box in the closet, or put them away on a shelf, someplace where your dog can't access it. And during these times, we would say the dogs get no access to furniture, no access to the beds, and they should be put away during meal times. They're only out to do dog-specific activities. They're not just coming out to hang out with you while you watch TV or read a book. They're coming out for you to engage with them. Okay? Cool. I think that was everything. If you have questions, give me a call, shoot me a text. Have fun, good luck, and thanks for watching. Bye.